welcomes all. Thanks for stopping by, answering the call. Ups and downs are normal for some of us. Many days I beg to get off this life bus. Neon lights flicker, my shadow on the wall. Dreams on the ceiling, we run and then we fall. Sharing stories over paper cups. Wheels keep turning, but never enough. Life's a ride on a rickety old track, holding on tight, never looking back. In the rubber and motor room, we could fight, laugh, cry, love in this crazy ride.
Okay. Here we are. Welcome in to Roberto's room. We are watching Day5 on the Xbox Murders Resentencing trial. I'm just replacing Robert for a couple of minutes while she gets herself sorted and she gets home. You know, she does a favor for me. I do a favor for her. She deserves it. She's amazing. Make sure you like the stream. I think you do, Hannah. I very highly recommend tissues, because I think Robert said this is the mama of one of the victims. Yeah. So yeah, shall we just get started? Let's get started. Don't forget to leave your like, subscribe if you haven't, and yeah, let's get started.
Miami?
Yes.
Okay. And then did there come a time when Annette left him for good or no?
I believe she left him for good. It's so long ago. I can recall, and I don't want to say nothing I really don't remember. So I was pretty young and all that was going on.
Do you know when Annette left Miami with the boys and went to Jennings, you talked about that. Do you know who she was staying with? Is anybody?
No, not exactly. No, I believe of some member of her family.
Okay. And do you know or recall if Annette, had money coming in, working, any financial support at all?
I don't recall that.
Okay. So let me then go forward from the relationship that Annette had with Alicia. Going forward in Jerone's age beyond that, after Annette divorced Alicia, were you in much contact with Jerone after that?
No.
Okay. And where were you living after Alicia and Annette divorced?
Still in Miami with my mother.
Still in Miami, okay. When'd you go to Valdosta?
I was around 28, 29 years old.
Okay. So do you recall when Jerone was a baby? What he was like?
He was a happy baby.
Okay. I can think of some things, but what were you seeing with Jerone that you based the fact that he was a happy baby? What were you seeing?
I was laughing, full of joy.
Okay. And do you know about how old Jerone was when you were seeing him with a happy baby?
I'd say maybe 6, 7 months, maybe.
Okay. Did he continue to be, at least as far as what you saw, did he continue to appear to be a happy baby?
I think his other thought, he went kind of sad when his twin passed.
Okay. And that would have been 5 or 6 months old? Or
I really don't recall, but I know it was early.
Okay. So what did you see out of Jerone that led you to say that he appeared to be sad?
He stopped really giggling and laughing and smiling. He just had like a blank look on his face.
Okay. Were you, just so the jury knows, when you saw this, were you, when Jerone was a baby and he had gone from being a happy baby to a sad baby, were you living in the area at the time or were you visiting from somewhere else?
No, they actually was in Miami.
Okay. So you saw Jerone in Miami after his twin brother's death?
Yes.
Okay. So would Annette have been staying down there
Yes.
during kind of one of these in and out things?
Yes.
Okay. And so when Jerone was in Miami, did you get to visit with him often?
When they was together living there?
Yes.
Yes, because they actually was living around us.
They were living like near you?
Yes, either. Oh, actually, my mom had got a little trailer in the back of her yard, and they used to stay in there until later on they got their own.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay. And when was he drawn crying more? Was he like fussy? Anything else or anything along those lines?
He never been a fussy baby. No, I'll never recall him being fussy.
Was he laughing like he used to?
No, he's just quiet.
Okay. All right. Okay. When you were down there, I was curious, given your age at the time, would you sometimes like babysit with him or watch him?
We used to play with him.
Okay. Because you would have been about how old then?
Around 12, 13 years old.
Gotcha. Okay. Have you, with regard to Jerone's father, Alicia Sr., did you stay in touch with him at all as Jerone was growing up?
My brother?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Was he incarcerated during that period of time?
No.
Was your brother, to your recollection, was he involved with Jerone when Jerone was a child?
No.
Would that have been, well, that's not for you, but why was, if you know, why was your brother Alicia not around Jerone growing up?
I believe his mother didn't want my brother to have no ties to him or us, it mattered.
Okay. So at least when you were down, well, let me move on. So have you stayed in touch with Annette in the last several years?
No, not me.
Have you stayed in contact with Jerone, or he with you since his arrest? Do you know if your sisters here today might have had contact with him?
I know one of them used to talk to him all the time. That is Talitha, but I don't believe she could have made it because she didn't have anyone to keep her small kids. She
Okay.
had.
Gotcha. That's all I have. I tend to the witness.
Mr. Gooders, can I get your date of birth?
3174.
Thank you. That's all. Anything from? No. Okay. Thank you. All right. Ma'am, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, what?
Mr. Wood, your next witness.
Yes, I'm going to call Talitha West. Do I have? She was with her. Okay, I'm sorry. Then let me call Priscilla. I'll call Priscilla. Priscilla Hunter.
All right. Very good.
Step to the podium, stop and raise your right hand, please.
Oh, yes.
Right, quickly. Walk right here. Seat here is the chair. But if the chair and the microphone, I'd be easily here. Please, a seat.
Good morning. Good morning. Mr. Wood?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Judge. Could you introduce yourself to the jury and give your full name, please?
Priscilla J. Cooper.
Okay. Did you used to go by another last name?
Priscilla J. Hunter.
Okay. And are you related all to Jerone?
Yes.
Okay. And how so?
I'm his aunt.
Okay. And how many siblings do you have?
It's a total of 17.
Okay. Okay. And of course, we're here to talk about Jerone and his childhood years. Do you recall being around Jerone when he was a child, when he was a baby, actually?
No.
Okay. Did you have any contact with him as he was growing up?
No, I did not.
Okay. Your sister is Annette. Were you aware, a general question of physical abuse that was going on between Annette and Alicia, your brother?
Well, yes.
Go ahead.
So it would be time that they would get into it. And then afterwards, maybe about 20 minutes afterwards, y'all have to excuse me, but they would do a makeup sex. And back in those days, a lot of women will say that if a man didn't beat them, that he didn't love him. And for some reason or another, I felt like, and it fell in that category because it was just something that it's like she wanted. Because there have been times where they would get into it, the police was called out, and the police asked her, like, is that him? And she was like, no. I'm like, are you really serious? So, and also my parents, during the time that they got into it, my parents would send Annette away back to her family. And I would say within 2 to 3 days, she'll be right back.
Okay. What city was Annette in at that time?
Jennings, Florida.
Okay. And was Annette staying with anybody during that time, or living with anybody?
In Jennings, Florida?
Yes, ma'am.
I believe it was her parents.
Okay. And would you ever have discussions with Annette about, staying away, not getting back together, anything like that?
I didn't actually have that one-on-one conversation with her, but I did let her know about one time that her and Elijah got into it. And so it was one minute she was just hollering, stop Lish, stop Lish, stop Lish. And then the next minute, like I say, 20 minutes later, she's like, oh, Lish, oh, Lish. And so like the next day, I addressed her with that. I was like, why you do that? You yelling for someone to come to your rescue, but then 20 minutes later, you're enjoying, him. So I was like, why you do that? I mean, like, do you not love yourself?
Did you see like a cycle of problems between her and her brother, and then getting back? Did that go on for like some period of time?
It did.
Do you give the jury any kind of ballpark estimate? Was it years or some particular time frame?
I don't want to say, but it did go on for a while, and until I guess she just got where she was tired of it.
Okay. Did Annette and Alicia eventually divorce?
Yes.
Okay. And okay. Did you stay in touch with Annette after that?
No, I did not. We used to fellowship with the church that she was going to, and we was going to in the state of Georgia. So when it was time for us to come over to Sanford, Florida, that's the church she was going to over there, she would know that we would be coming, so she would take the kids and go run and hide them, so we wouldn't see the kids. So I didn't stay in touch with her. No, I did not.
Okay. I'm sorry, you said that would go run and hide?
She know that we're coming because we used to fellowship together. So she would take the kids and she would hide the kids so we won't be able to see the kids.
Okay. And when you say kids, that's Jerone and Alicia?
Yes.
And when you say we, there were other people that were trying to visit with?
Yes, it was my sibling, my mother at that time.
Do you remember about how long ago that was, where she was keeping you from the kids?
Oh, so they was much younger. I would say that they were about 5, 6, somewhere up in that age.
Okay. Was Annette living somewhere else and you were living somewhere else at that time?
Well, at that time, they was living in Sanford, Florida.
Okay.
And we was living in Deltona, Georgia.
Okay. And were you ever successful? Did Annette ever let you visit with the kids?
No, I didn't see them.
Is that something that you and your relatives wanted to do, to visit with them?
Oh, yes, we would love to see them, but, we never got that privilege because, like I say, she would always take them and go hide them.
Okay. And when you say hide them, do you know where or how or anything like that?
I really don't know, but she made sure that we just didn't get the chance to see them.
Okay. And did she ever change her mind and let you see the kids?
No, that's why we never had a relationship with them, because we never got the chance to see them.
Okay. All right. Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. No, nothing from the state. Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Mr. Bisco, Ms. Stevens, nothing? Thank you. All right, no worries. Thank you.
May I
Thank
push this on schedule?
Sure.
We are zoom through this boring parts. Just give me a moment to let me find my place because I was like relaxed in my chair.
Prior testimony will be read back to you. Mr. Wood?
And for the record, I'm going to have Donna Murray, our litigation specialist, be the voice of Annette Washington.
All right, come on out.
I need to do this, right?
No, yeah, because it's prior sworn testimony. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. All right, for the record, and for the transcripts for Annette Washington start on page 4632 for the record of the prior testimony. Direct examination by Mr. Bankowitz. Question, tell us your full name, please.
Annette Washington.
And what is your relationship to Jerone Hunter?
He's my son.
Has Jerone lived with you the better part of his life?
Yes.
And during the early part of his life, your name is Washington, his name is Hunter. Were you married to another gentleman?
Yes, I was married to his father, Alicia Charles Hunter Sr.
Did you have any other children by that gentleman?
Yes, I have another son, that's Alicia Charles Hunter Jr., and Jerone had a twin named Jeremy Hunter.
And what happened to Jerone's twin?
He was 6 months old. He passed away. He had dilithium bronchitis pneumonia.
Did you at some time in your life divorce Mr. Hunter?
Yes.
When was that?
April of 1988.
Were there ever any times when you resided with Jerone's natural father where you had problems or were the subject of abuse?
Yes.
Were the children ever subject to abuse by him?
No.
What type of abuse did you suffer at his hands?
Physical and mentally.
Was that observed by the children?
Yeah, they were small though. They were real small.
But they saw what was going on?
Yes.
What was the extent of the physical abuse?
He would jump on me and beat me up and different stuff and talk all kinds of crazy stuff.
Now you say talk crazy stuff. Why did you divorce him? And was there a reason for divorcing him other than the abuse?
Yes.
What was that?
I just felt like he was crazy.
What kind of things would he do other than the abuse?
He would do all sorts of crazy things. He would talk to himself, say all kinds of nasty things about me and about the kids. And
were there ever any times where he wouldn't bathe?
Yeah, at times he had got to the point where he didn't want to, bathe.
Didn't take care of his own personal hygiene then?
Right.
How old were the children when you divorced him?
My oldest son was 3 and Jerone was 2.
And his brother Jeremy had already passed away, correct?
Yes.
How long did you remain unmarried?
Divorced in 88 and I remarried in 91.
With regard to your second marriage, was that to Dan Washington?
Yes.
And have there been problems in that marriage initially?
Yes, we had been married for 2 years. He stopped going to church and then he got on drugs.
What kind of drugs?
He was on crack cocaine.
And did that have any effect on the family?
Yes, because eventually I left because I didn't want my kids to grow up in that environment.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living in Sanford, Florida at the time.
And where did you move to?
I moved to Jennings, Florida.
And whereabouts in Jennings?
It's 24 miles from Lake City, Florida.
Did you take the children with you?
Yes.
And how long were you separated?
I left him in the 1st of October, and the end of November, he came down to Jennings, Florida.
So were you separated about a month or so?
A month and a half almost.
And during your marriage with Dan, who was in charge of the discipline of the children?
We're both disciplined, but most of the time we would always talk about it or whatever the situation was. And he mostly, I the one used to do most of the discipline.
Was your discipline verbal or physical?
I used to, beat them on the behind.
Did Dan beat them on the behind too?
Yes.
And how long did that last as far as their age?
I think the last might have been 13 maybe. I'm not sure.
Did you ever notice anything regarding Jerone that you thought was different?
Yes.
When did you start noticing something different?
When he was 3 or 4.
What type of things are you talking about?
He was always kept to himself and always talked to himself.
Now, talking to himself, what do you mean by that?
It was like he had someone there and he was talking to them.
And did it appear that he was getting answers from the person or responses?
Yeah, yes.
And did he ever act on those responses that you're aware of? In other words, do things out of the ordinary?
Yes, he would, like I say, he was always to himself. He always liked to, he would get his cars and play with his cars and he would talk like he was talking to someone else.
Would you characterize Jerone in his early childhood as a loner?
Yes.
When you would have family gatherings, would he go off by himself?
Yes. At a certain period of time, he would, spend with the family, and then eventually he would end up by himself.
Yes, at a certain, okay.
Anything else you noticed about him that you felt would be different?
Just mainly that he was just always to himself and talked to himself.
How long did that last?
He was way up in the age, maybe 16, 15, about 15 or 16.
So within a year or two before this incident happened?
Yeah.
Would it surprise you that others have seen him talk to himself even later on up until very recently?
Yes.
That would surprise you or not surprise you?
No, that would not surprise me. No, I'm sorry.
Now, was his brother Jeremy an identical twin? I always get fraternal and maternal mixed up, but was he identical?
Yes.
And is there a special reason you didn't seek any kind of intervention with Ron when he would be there, when he would be a loner and talking to other people that weren't there?
No, it was because, like, I guess in our culture, whatever, Black, I was always told, older people always told us when they have a twin brother and they pass away, they always have that relationship with them. So I never thought it was strange.
Is there ever a time that you thought he needed to get checked, to be checked out?
Well, at some point I did, but I just never did.
Why didn't you do it?
Well, like I said, I just thought it was common.
Was he ever violent with anyone?
No,
Even his older brother, did they have any altercations that would become violent where you might have to pull him off of him or one off the other, anything like that?
no. Brothers always, get into it or fight a little bit or whatever, but it was never nothing serious.
Did his older brother aggravate him?
Yes,
Now, Ms. Washington, you yourself were hospitalized, is that correct?
yes,
For a mental condition?
yes.
Do you recall what that was?
Yeah, I was depressed
And why were you depressed?
because I had lost my brother in 1993. I lost my brother he got run over by a garbage truck. And then my husband, I was going through with him at the time with crack cocaine.
How long were you hospitalized for?
I was in there from like 3 days to 5 days, like a week at the most.
And did you seek additional treatment after that?
Yes.
For how long?
Several months after that, I sought help.
Were you given medication?
Yes.
Did you keep up with that medication?
Yes.
For how long?
I kept up with it, I guess, 6 months to a year.
Did you ever go back to the doctor
No,
after that period of time?
no,
Did you ever keep up with the medication?
no. After it ran out, I didn't go back to get any more.
Now, did you and Dan have a lot of rules around the house?
Yes.
And what kind of rules did you have that the children must follow?
Okay, we had a curfew that they had to be in the house at 12 o'clock.
What about a child that's 17, 18 years old? Did they have to abide by that curfew?
Yes.
What happens if they didn't?
Well, they would be punished or whatever. They couldn't, it was like when they was still in school, and then if they didn't come home on a punishment, it was like, because both of my sons, Alicia and Jerone, participated in sports. So they had to miss, like, if they had to go off somewhere or wrestle or whatever, they had to miss it, something like that.
So you would keep them from their activities if they missed their curfew?
Yes,
What other type of punishment was imposed other than the beatings you indicated earlier?
mostly was it.
Did Jerome have a lot of friends?
So, not too many.
What type of things did he like to do?
He liked to go fishing. He liked to wrestle, weightlift, basketball, and football.
Was he somewhat of an artist?
Yes, he loved to draw.
I'd like to show you what's been marked as defense composite B for identification. Could you look at that and tell me if you recognize it?
Yes,
Could you open it?
yes,
Do you recognize those?
yes,
Is that something you provided us with?
yes,
Were these drawings of your sons? Were these Jerome's drawings?
yes, those are Jerome's.
And is there anything about them that's been changed or altered
No,
since you originally gave them to us?
no.
Judge, I believe the state has no objection. I want to introduce Mark drawing.
Have you seen those, Mr. Gonis?
Yes.
I saw the photo board. I haven't seen these this morning. No objection. Are you moving to introduce? Is it for,
The defense exhibit.
so admitted?
Judge, afterwards, Mark may.
You may. Do you just want to hold that up so they can see it?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I can turn it on.
Skipping, skipping, skipping. Don't not scare, it's just me. Hola, hola.
Ms. Washington,
There we go.
all right, continue.
Paper flap.
Ms. Washington, was there also any disciplinary consequences if the children didn't go to church or didn't want to go to church?
Well, at the time, my husband himself he's a minister and I'm an evangelist in the church. And every time we went to church, they went to church. If they wasn't working, trip, doing school activity, then they had to go to church.
And is that when they were teenagers also?
Yes,
Regardless of what other activities they were involved in, unless it had to do with school?
yes.
How often would your family go to church?
We went Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sunday mornings and Sunday nights.
And from what period of time on Sundays? Or Tuesdays, right?
We would go at 8 o'clock and 10:30 we'd get out.
8 p.m. or a.m.?
8 p.m.
And get out at 10:30?
Yes, 10:30 p.m.
What about on Thursday?
The same time.
What about Sunday?
First morning service was at 11:30, from 11:30 to 1:30 or 2 o'clock.
What about the evening service?
It was 7:30 to 9:30.
And if they chose not to go or just didn't show up for church, what would happen to them?
Well, they would always go if, like I say, if they wasn't working or school activity.
Now, there was a time in July of 2004 when Jerone left your house.
Yes.
And did he leave more than one time? More than once?
Yes, because he had left the first time. Well, he didn't come home one night after work. That was the first time.
What was the consequence of that?
Well, at the time, I didn't know, why he left. I didn't know why he had left because at the time I was working. His father dropped him off for work. And then later on that night, I got a phone call and he said he wasn't coming home. He was going to stay over a friend's house.
And did he eventually come home?
After 3 days, he came home. Well, I called the police that Sunday.
What was the time frame before he left the second time?
Or two.
Did Dan Washington tell him to leave because he was breaking the rules again?
Well, the reason why he told him to leave was because that night he had dropped him off earlier that day to go look for a job. And he told him he was going to look for a job. And he called to the house his curfew was 12 o'clock. He called to the house, maybe it was like 11:45, and said he wasn't coming home. He was going to stay over a friend's house. So my husband said if he wasn't coming home, then he might as well just find him another place to stay because he see that he wasn't going to abide by the rules.
And did his brother also leave the household
Yes.
around the same time?
He left before. Maybe it was like a month before.
And did he get his own apartment?
Yes.
Was there any talk of Jerone living with him that you know of?
Not as I know of.
I'd like to show you what's been marked as Exhibit A for identification. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
And this is the materials that you provided.
Yes.
Judge, there's no objection from the state as to the next exhibit. Originally identified as A, would be exhibits 2.
No objection. So admitted.
No, she's marking that as a publisher to I think it's published to jury.
You may. Thank you, Mr. Gownis.
Yes.
Juror number 10, are you having a hard time seeing that, sir? Okay. Or if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Wood, if you just publish it and we can just, that way they can see it more closely.
You want me to have it? You want me to pass it on?
No, that they, as long as they've got a good, he says he sees it. Thank you, juror number 10.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave this up.
You may do so.
Okay. If you would, Ms. Washington, could you tell the jury what these pictures represent?
This one here,
I'll hold them this way. You can step up.
this one here is a picture of Jerone. This is Jerone and this is his twin brother, Jeremy. This here is one of his plays at his school. He was in a Mexican play, first grade. This is one of his school pictures that he took at the school.
Is there any significance to the apple with his name on it that you know of?
No, not as I know of. That was second grade. And this here is a picture at Easter time. They took pictures after the service.
Judge, that would conclude the reading.
Fine. Thank you.
I
You
get
may
it.
step down. Thank you very much. And did you want to check to see if, okay? Sure.
And this white nose is gonna kill me. Jeez. Let's do. Hang on.
A break, and I think it should be at least 20 minutes, so that should give you all a little bit of time. So we'll be back at 10 till.
William, I do not know. William, I do not know. Well, Marie, I can be on video. I don't look very well, you know. I can turn on the video. Don't tell that I did not warn you. Hello, I am here. Can you see me? Enzo is garden bot. I am still here. Hello. Oh, stop it. Connect this feed. I'm a bit tired. Right, let's zoom. Oh, thank you, Southern Cat. I am not. You need glasses. But yeah, Inga, let's zoom. Zoom. Out. Garden bot. Garden bot is in the house. Garden bot is misbehaving. I look like Katya. Thank you very much. I look like Katya. I am Katya. I am just covering a little bit for Robert while she gets herself sorted. And yeah, I am not you guys. Yeah, you not see her hair out of place. Look at this. Look at this. Is everything out of place? So you guys are too much. I'm not. But yeah, so Robert, don't worry, your fearless leader is gonna be here very soon. Well, he does, Kara. He does punish me, so yeah. You see a hair on it now. Let's watch it. Oh, you guys are too much, man. I'll keep the camera on for now. There we go. Want it to be on.
This is jury instructions.
You
I saw your instruction.
made me joke.
I evidently the one that I have is just preliminary. I don't know if you got the second one about the part.
haven't changed.
I just want to stop.
Instructions, and I just, that's an attachment, I haven't, put in my car gates and adjust it for the kids, but I just sent it.
Objections in the Ammons. How's this? We'll wait for him to argue the objections in the written document, but if we can just go through the standard instructions, Okay, let's do that. So I think I want to wait for him to make those arguments. But right now, I'm just kind of looking it over for any typos and anything that. And I think that Ms. Dragonis indicated there was one requested change that she did in fact make.
What was that? About the specific objection is page 22 of the motion, where it talks about the feeling sorry for anyone. Usually the judge instructs them not to
Right.
make their decision based on feeling sorry or against your feeling, and but of course.
Yeah, well, you can't against it.
And then your objection was, this case must not be decided for or against anyone because you feel sorry for anyone or angry at anyone. I agree to take that out because, of course, you're going to be arguing for mercy. So.
Yes, okay, perfect, yes, so that is a correct, yeah, thank you.
All right. So see, we did get something accomplished.
Wow, a little bar.
All right. See, timing is perfect.
I'm sorry, I thought you said 9:50, so that's on me.
No, you didn't do anything wrong at all. As a matter of fact, there was one objection on that the state has agreed to, and that's on page 22 of your written,
Okay.
with respect to being told not to feel sorry for anyone. So that has been stricken.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Nice. So let's go ahead then, and we already addressed the preliminary instructions. So we are now on page.
Working on their motion, correct?
Yes, working on their motion.
Maybe page 9.
Let's exactly it under 7.11, that's paragraph 8. All right. All right, let's hear from you. I mean, it's set forth in the motion, I think, very clearly and concisely.
We're talking about page
9, paragraph 8. The final instructions contain.
on an aggravating factor. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be redundant, but I think I've set forth our objection as set forth on page 9 of 23 of my objection. And I've also set forth in paragraph B the proposal that we are suggesting. So we would ask for an amendment as set forth specifically on page 10 of 23 in the objections that we filed.
All right, and Mr. Gonis, I would imagine your response is the same as it has always been.
Yes, Judge.
All right, and so I am going to leave the instruction as it is and note the defense's objection. And Mr. Wood, you're joining in on these,
I
correct?
do, for the record, I agree with all the objections contained in the motion. I will also tell the court that I'm working on my further objections I've got.
Any additional ones, correct?
Yes, I'm going to work on those on the weekend. The Florida Public Defenders Association, or the Florida Bar rather, had provided Supreme Court previously their requested amendments and objections, and I'm going to work on the weekend on incorporating any additional objections beyond what Mr. Victorino has set forth in their objection.
Okay, very good. All right, so we're moving on then to paragraph 9, page 10.
We would again just reassert our, as set forth in the objections that are filed, that this is not evidence, this is information. More specifically, our position would be that evidence is something that can be considered towards an aggravating factor, and specifically what the jury instructions as posed suggest that it can't be considered towards an aggravating factor. So we believe that is misleading and confusing, not only from a legal perspective, but also from a common sense perspective, that you would characterize something as evidence, but that you're not to consider it in the factual determination that the jury is charged with. And as a cure, what we have proposed is that we eliminate that phrasing as evidence. We would suggest that it be characterized as information.
All right, thank you. Mr. Wood, you are in agreement and join in?
I am.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gonis, your same response as before?
Yes, Judge, it
All
is
right.
evidence.
All right, and the court will rely on its prior ruling regarding victim impact evidence, and we'll use the standard instruction. Moving on to number 10 on the reasonable doubt instruction. And Mr. Pisco, you may proceed on that.
Mr. Judge, and I would just don't need to be redundant. I'll rely on whatever. I think I wrote it better than I could say here today, so I'll just rely on that, Judge.
You did write it quite well. Mr. Wood, are you joining in?
I am.
All right, Mr. Gonis?
I would just point out that it says it's flawed and lacks adequate information, but then makes no suggestions, so there's really nothing to respond to.
All right, and I will leave the, noting the defense's objections, I will leave the standard reasonable doubt instruction in place. Then we're moving on to paragraph 11, page 12. This is the instruction regarding mitigating circumstances. Mr. Trubisco?
Yes, Your Honor, just specifically for the discussion here, we would assert that what I set forth in section B would be a specific paragraph that we'd like to include as to mercy, and that would characterize our objection for this portion of the mitigating circumstances in 711.
Mr. Wood, you join in and agree, sir? All right, Mr. Gonis?
In Florida, the defendant does have the right to prove mitigating circumstances, but you can't really prove mercy, so it's not appropriate to have mercy in the mitigating circumstances. So they can argue mercy, but it shouldn't be discussed in mitigating circumstances.
Okay. The court does note the objections by the defense and will leave the mitigating circumstances instruction as is. Moving on to paragraph 12, page 13. Then again, this is regarding mitigating circumstances. Mr. Probisco?
Yes, Your Honor, and it's on page 14 of the objections in subsection A. We've specifically argued that portions of that provision set forth in 711 should be deleted. That's codified in the highlighted and the strike throughs, and then we're asking for the inclusion of the, I guess we'll call it the peach highlight there, to be included in its stead.
All right, Mr. Wood, you agree and join in?
I do.
And Mr. Gonis?
Same argument stated before. The Florida Supreme Court has said over and over again that the defendant has to prove mitigating circumstances.
All right, and the instruction will remain as is. I'm on paragraph 13, page 15. This is the weighing instruction.
Yes, Your Honor, specifically we've asserted our specific objection in paragraph A, and then in paragraph B, we've proposed and underlined the proposed amendment that we're seeking.
Okay, and Mr. Wood, you agree and join in?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Gonis?
This would be cumulative. We've already established this in the beginning of the instructions, and also it's in the verdict form. They can argue it, and the prosecution is not being misleading.
All right. So the court, again, acknowledges the objections by the defense, overrules them, and leaves the instruction as is. Moving on to number 14, page 18, final instructions.
Is there more about mitigating circumstances in the same situation that we believe it's misleading? There is redundancy throughout all of the jury instructions, so we would reassert that it should be reminded to the jury because it is such a big issue. So for that reason, paragraph B we set forth in included language we were proposing, and then the deletions are marked as set forth on page 19 and 23 of the objections.
All right. And so it looks like 15 and 16, 14 and 15, the same arguments.
Yeah, yes, Your Honor. A lot of this, for the record, is duplicative, but it's kind of the same issues as two different portions of the jury instruction.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Wood, sir, you joined in and agreed, correct? All right, your same response, Mr. Gonis?
Yes, Judge.
All right, and so while the court acknowledges the defense's objections, overrules them, and leaves the instruction as is. And then I think we already addressed 16, and the state made that change to the instructions.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that handles defendant Victorino's objections to the standard capital penalty phase jury instructions and proposed amendments. They're also addressed as to Mr. Hunter as well as they joined in.
Correct.
So Mr. Wood, if you could just, and I know you will, when you're preparing your objections over the weekend, if you have any, that we've already addressed the ones in here, would you like a copy of this just so you have it?
Oh, yes.
Okay, great. Just make sure I didn't write anything on here. I think I did.
She's going to get you a copy.
I think Mr. Wood has a copy.
Oh, does he have it?
I have it.
Oh, okay, great. All right. Well, I figured he did, but it's always nice to have it right there handy. So, all right. So that takes care of those written objections. And then Kyle, when were we set to come back? Was it now?
Your Honor, as far as the final instructions and just the highlighted portions, are we going over that now?
If we had time, but I think,
okay.
when was the jury?
Pretty close enough.
All right, then we can address that.
I'm just going to the restroom real quick.
Sure.
Try to visit.
Take a look at the, yeah, me looking at the, the yellow person, wait, like, yeah, like,
I'm hoping this is the right version.
correct. And then she sent something, and I was gonna print this, you already started. Just double check and see if it's the same as what she sent.
All right, compared to that.
After yet,
I do, I didn't notice.
because then I can start adding them in.
But I wanted to.
I know it'd be changed,
I made the leaks. Yeah, that's why I kind of. Makes sense.
Okay, well, if you guys.
I got it. If you're ready to go, I will send it to you. I kind of like to see.
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, yeah, it's just easier for me to take it out. And then as far as the yellow, remember it's the general instructions for the way it's all that crap. I had to go through and reword it because it wasn't out of these. So I did my best, look at the wording and you know,
On the highlights. So we can see.
exactly. But then these, it's like, okay, what applies here? Because the standard instructions for penalty, they says go to those other standard instructions and see which apply and reword them for penalties. That's, I tried to grab all the ones that I thought were relevant. So just take a look at these, all of them. You know, I put in the non-testifying, I did that, testifying, and statements. And a conflict, I had that one.
Put it together the testimony from this.
Very good. Right.
It's actually pretty.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, she just said give it to you, that's good.
Ooh. Who is this one?
All right. All right. You want me to really type on it? You don't need it. For you. Yep.
Didn't mean to kill that tree. All right, are we ready? Oh, wait, we're still waiting on Mr. Wood. Okay.
It makes sense. Obviously, I mean, I understand.
And Mr. Wood, you've got your last witness, correct?
I just looked at two lessons, tried to figure this guys were talking about. It looks like it's the standard jury form, verdict form.
It is, but I think it seemed like.
Yes, ma'am, it would be Julie's part.
Okay. And she's here in the building?
Yes.
Okay, great, all right.
Show me so I understand it, and then if I made a mistake, I'll say I can correct it. I have the standard here, and I have the one that I.
Yeah,
So from the background, it's such a big, and then B is this.
What would your plans be after this is a short one?
Let's talk to Mr. Probisco, so I figured he can, give his opening. So, Mr. Probisco, it looks like Mr. Wood's got one brief witness, and then you'll be up for your opening, but y'all don't have any, witnesses until what, 1:30?
They also be coming in, people on the beach, like 10:30.
Oh, you know what? No, that'll work out. Oh my gosh, that couldn't work out better. I think that's great,
And
wonderful.
we'll have the inmates after, and then honestly, Judge, that's it for us for the day.
Okay, for the day, and then, and that's all right. What are you looking at for Monday?
Everybody.
But what timing wise? Is it the full day? It's a full day.
Full day till 5, I think I'll finish with mom.
Okay, all right.
That's what the hope is, I mean, of course, I don't know how long, you know,
And if it takes longer, that's fine.
a lot of it is, I'm not gonna establish his history with each expert over and over again. So Dr. James will go over the longest,
Okay,
Dr. Campbell and Dr. Tim will not reference those issues, but not go into them in detail again,
okay,
and then do their own part portion of it. So I think that they'll be shorter than what they would appear to be on deposition, because they look at everything on that. You know,
absolutely, that makes sense. All right,
but mom, I have no idea how long that will take. to be
that's
honest.
all right. That's, okay, no worries. Okay, it sounds like everything's,
Oh, our prison expert, of course, yes.
okay,
So I don't have, Dr. Campbell won't be here till after, like, till afternoon.
okay,
Or like lunch. And so will Mr. Costco. So I was planning on doing at least the 2 experts in the morning. That was the plan. And I hope that maybe I can do that's kind of where,
okay, all right.
because of traveling, they can't.
No, that's all right. Okay, so Mr. Wood, we ready?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Well, I don't know what to do. Why not? Yeah, I'm gonna try to skip to see what's happening. I don't know.
Yes, Talitha.
All right, everyone, please be seated. Mr. Wood, please call your next witness.
Yes, Talitha West, please.
You said the Queen, stop, raise your right hand.
You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Do it right here, not the left.
All right, thank you.
May I proceed?
You may.
Thank you, ma'am. If you would first introduce yourself to the jury by giving us your full name.
My name is Talitha West.
And were you previously Hunter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you related to Jerone? Hunter?
Yes, I am.
And how so?
This is my nephew and his auntie.
Okay. And would you be the aunt on the mother's side or the father's side?
The father's side.
I got you. And I understand you have a lot of brothers and sisters?
I do.
About how many?
16 siblings.
Okay. So I'm going to kind of go back in time when Jerome was a baby, okay, very early in his age. Did you have occasions to observe him, be around him at that time?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. And just for reference, when you did see Jerome, where was Jerome living? Jerome and Annette and his brother, where were they living at the time?
At one time, they was at my mother's, but I don't know. I can't remember. I think they had moved out when they were. Yes, they had moved out from with my parents after they was born.
So just so the jury knows, when you say they moved out, where did they move out from?
They was living previously with my mother and my father.
What town?
Miami, Florida.
Okay. And then, so were you able to visit with Jerome when he was a baby in Miami?
Yes, sir. A little bit. I was very young, but still, I was able to see him.
Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you your age. When you did visit with Jerome, and I say baby, do you know about how old he was when you were visiting?
Ooh, he was very young. He was like in a month, maybe by 4 or 5 months, I believe,
Okay.
at that time.
Do you recall how Jerome was as a baby, how he acted?
When him and his twin brother, when he was alive, his twin brother, he was very happy. Then what all of a sudden when Jerome, little baby brother, passed, I think it took effect on him because we would see him, he just sit up there, no smiling at the time. And one time we witnessed why he just like shaking his head like that as a baby. And we were just, wondering about that. And to me, I say maybe his brother wanted him to come with him. And he was saying, just doing his nodding his head like that as a baby. And then someone told his mother about tying a black string on his arm, I guess to protect him or whatever was worrying him or whatever. But it didn't seem like that helped.
That was my next question. Didn't see any difference. He's still shaking his head?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So before Jeremy passed, his brother passed, when you say he was a happy baby, you're smiling, laughing?
Smiling. Yes, he was a happy baby. And I'm pretty sure I'm right. He had to be around about 5 months old or something like that. It's been a long time. I can't really recall. But I know he was very young.
In terms of the timing, so you saw Ron before his brother passed, and you also saw him after his brother passed?
Yes, sir.
And were you able to, after his brother passed, did you see much of him after that?
No, sir, I didn't. I had to move out and went on with my life.
Okay.
Yes.
And you moved on to another town or city?
No, I was still there somewhat, but also at some point they separated, and
Coming in, yeah?
and my brother separated, and they went back. She went back home to her family with the kids when they was very young.
Okay. So in terms of maybe the difference between the two time frames with Jerome as a baby, did you see more of him before Jeremy passed, or more of him after Jeremy?
More of when Jeremy was when his brother was present,
Okay.
at the time, yes.
How did Jerome act as a baby around Jeremy?
They was very happy because I was there at times, like they was happy little babies and all of that stuff. Fun little babies, yes.
Did like to be around other people, reacted to, people talking to him or playing with him?
Just like I say, I was very young. I was one of the little younger sisters, so I didn't, just notice stuff like that by me being so young and stuff like that. But they were happy.
Okay. As twins, were they, before Jeremy passed, would they normally be physically together, like in a crib or bed together?
Yes, sir.
All right. And how did Jeremy's passing, if you could tell, did that affect Annette in any way and how she acted?
Yes, it did affect her.
How about other family members?
Her family members?
Yes.
I don't know because they was not there.
Okay.
To pass another baby.
All right. Was Dad, Elijah, your brother Elijah, Alicia, around
Yes.
when Jeremy passed?
Yes, he was around.
Has Alicia your brother, been in Jerome's life as Jerome grew up in his childhood years?
No, sir.
Were you involved in activities with Annette or discussions with Annette about not being around or getting back together with your brother Alicia?
No, sir. I didn't question her about that because after she moved, it was really no connection with us until after we got in our adult age, we started visiting the church. And she was attending my cousin church, which was Bishop Cooper over in Sanford, Florida. And that's when we would see them after they had grew up a little, but we were still not able to really come in contact with them because she wouldn't allow them to come with us. She would take them and hide them from us and stuff like that.
So your way of seeing them when Jerome was a little older is through the church?
Yes, sir.
And at that time, was Annette like a regular member of that church in Sanford?
Yes, she were.
And was it a Pentecostal church?
Yes.
And would the boys also go, Alicia Jr. and John, were they also going to that church?
Yes, they was there. Yes.
Was the church a lot like other Pentecostal churches where you frequently during the week go to church?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I'm going to kind of jump forward and, let me ask you this before I go to that thought. Did you ever talk to them about, hey, we really would like to visit with the boys, spend time with them? Did you ever talk to them about that?
No, sir. We never did get a chance to because she didn't want nothing to do with us. After she had moved on with her life, so she didn't want anything to do with her. She would not talk to her. Only time, we see her when it was a big event at my cousin's church where she was attending, and we would see her there, and it still wasn't no communication. Like I say, we would see the boys, and she would take them like she didn't want us to see them at all. And she would just push them away and hide them from us, even at the church. And my mother probably would get to see them a little bit, and she would give support in it with finance to give them every time we came up.
Did you and your siblings want to have a relationship with Jerome and his brother?
Yes, sir, because we are a very close family. Yes.
So your siblings and nieces, nephews, or you consider yourself close to them?
Yes, we are very close.
And would that also be true for your other family members? They were also close to each other?
Yes, we are a very close family. Yes, sir.
And then let me jump forward and talk about, since Jerome got arrested, been incarcerated, have you been in touch with him?
Yes, yes.
And so how often is that?
He will, I think it was last year when I finally started coming in contact with him, and he got my phone number. And he started calling me every week, every single week. It was on every Tuesday I would talk with him. And also he will be, we have a prayer ministry line, and he will be on the prayer line with us as well sometimes.
Okay, so you would be able to pray with Ron over the phone?
Yes, sir.
Has that been frequent since you reconnected with him?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
And do you, what do you guys talk about?
Just about him. I'm glad to hear from you. And I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to know you growing up and all of that stuff. And just try to keep it nothing big. I would just talk with him. Never wanted to too much ask him about the case, and I didn't. But I would tell him, I'm sorry he's there, and I'm sorry what happened, and all of that stuff. And then also, he'll call around when my children would be around, some of his cousins be around. He get to talk to them somewhat, and his aunts and all of that. Yes.
Which of the other ones did he talk to?
He talked to Sarah, Priscilla, Mary, Naomi, Elizabeth, Elaine. So,
Pretty much everybody.
yes, sir, pretty much the sisters, yes.
To your knowledge, when those contacts with the other aunts and cousins occurred, is it like a group chat thing, or is it?
It's a group chat thing, yes, sir.
Somebody gets on the phone and then somebody else joins in?
Yes, and sometimes I will call someone else, and I say, Jerone is on the phone, and I connect him to the other cousin or to my other sisters.
What's the general demeanor or attitude of Jerone when you guys are talking on the phone? Aside from obviously the praying together, is it you try to keep it positive? You talk
Yes.
about family or events and stuff like that?
Yes, that's what we would talk about, family events, and just telling him about his family, telling him about his grandparents, and all of that stuff. Yes.
Is that in an effort to continue to have a relationship with them?
Yes.
And would you like to continue having communication, talking and praying with Jerome?
Yes, sir.
And when is the last time you talked to him?
The last time I talked with him, I think it was 2 Sundays ago, because he called me like 3 other times, and I didn't get a chance to ask him where he were. So he would call, and he had only 1 minute to speak to me. So then I called his mother on Messenger and asked her, well, not necessarily call her, I wrote to her on Messenger and asked her what facility he's in, because I need to put some funds on the book where he could be able to talk with me.
Because they charge you for the phone call and charge you for the phone call?
Yes, charged me for the phone calls, and she was able to send a message telling me where he was, and I had set up arrangement for him to start calling me, but still hadn't heard from me yet.
Okay.
After that one call about 2 weeks ago.
It sounds like the majority of your fellowship, praying, talking to Jerome, does he write letters, or is it mostly the phone? And prayer?
Well, it was just mostly the phone. Yes, sir.
Ever display any in these conversations any anger or anything like that?
No, sir, but I felt like he was like, maybe sometimes I could feel it, that he like down and depressed sometimes, and I would comfort him and let him know that we're here for you, we love you, and everything gonna be all right. And it will get to me sometimes too as well, to hear him like that, because I just feel like if he knew his side of the family on this side, he won't be there.
Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Just trying to figure out, how old was Jerome when you last saw him when he was a baby? How old do you think he was?
I want to say, just like I said, I was so young. Maybe, I want to say 5 months, maybe.
Okay.
I want to say that.
But it was
Yes.
after, how soon after was it that Jeremy passed?
Okay. Wait a minute. I need to probably back up a little bit.
Okay, fine, take your time.
Maybe, I wanted to say that he might have been 4 months or something. I can't really remember, but I know he was a baby.
How old were you when Jerome was born in 86?
86, I was, oh God, Lord have mercy. 86, I was 16.
Okay,
Yes.
where did you fall in the group of, well, let me ask it this way. What was the age difference between you and Alicia, Jerome's father?
Okay, I think he's about 5 years older than I am, 5 to 6 years, something like that.
Okay, were you on one of the younger children?
Yes, I'm one of the younger children. Yes, one of the very younger children.
Okay, finish up one moment, Judge. Sure. Thank you, ma'am. No further
All
questions.
right, and no questions? All right, thank you. Mary, you may step down. Thank you very much for your time. And Mr. Wood?
Judge, at this time, we rest.
Thank you. Mr. Pisco, you're up, sir.
May I please report?
Yes, sir.
Counsel. Members of the jury. Troy Victorino is already dead. And as you know, you have been charged with the great responsibility and power of determining whether Troy Victorino will die at the hands of the state or whether you will sentence him to serve a life of punishment and purpose. Members of the jury, last week you agreed to keep an open mind and to make no decision before considering all of the evidence that has been presented to you. You agreed to consider the evidence in light of your own individual moral assessment of all of the factors in this case. And now it is our responsibility and our opportunity to present to you evidence about Troy Victorino and why the circumstances surrounding his life justify a punishment of life in prison without the possibility of parole. I want to make one thing very clear, members of the jury, that throughout our presentation, the evidence that you will receive will in no way suggest any justification, any excuse, or any defense for Mr. Victorino's actions. In fact, the evidence in this case will not show any common sense explanation for why this occurred, because we cannot make sense of the senseless. However, what we do believe the presentation of our evidence will suggest is that a combination of young Mr. Victorino's exposure to physical and sexual abuse as a young child exacerbated his pre-existing childhood mental illness, which unfortunately made his choice to engage in substance abuse, eventual incarceration, propensity for violence almost inevitable. Troy Victorino was born to Sharon and Miguel Victorino in Queens, New York in 1976. Troy was one of 5. And from the outside looking in, I think you would see not a perfect, but a somewhat normal lower middle class family in 1970s New York. Now, our view of the inside of Troy Victorino's upbringing comes from records. Members of the jury, these records are older than some of the members of this jury. And what those records will demonstrate to you is that after a young Troy Victorino made suicidal threats at the age of 8, he was admitted to a children's mental institution where he was diagnosed with significant mental health issues. And perhaps well-intentioned or the state of the art at the time, but now that we look back in retrospect, we can argue, and what the evidence will suggest is that the administration of barbiturates and high doses of Benadryl to alleviate this mental illness could have actually had the opposite effect and damaged his developing brain. Now, the records will show documentation in addition to the mental illness, but also of observable wounds on a young Troy Victorino's neck, the result of his dad's abuse with a belt buckle. Such injury was of such a significant degree that his elementary school teacher sought the intervention of the New York equivalent of the Department of Children and Families. Now, Troy, you'll learn, has always been a person of large stature. Some may say that that's a blessing, but in fact, it would be a burden. What we expect the childhood development evidence to suggest is that his mental health issues resulted in a lack of self-esteem and ability to socialize, that he stood out, that his size was perhaps off-putting, and that ultimately the other traumatic forces in Mr. Victorino's young life resulted that he would always be expected to be a tough guy. Members of the jury, what I hope that a review of these, what we'll call intervention points with this early childhood hospitalization for mental illness and DCF interaction, show a series of missed opportunities for treatment and protection. And it's through these records where we will introduce you to Mr. Victorino's mother, Sharon Victorino. What Mr. Victorino's hospitalization records and DCF records will show is that there is a clear diagnosis, a clear issue of mental health treatment being needed and therapy being recommended. However, for whatever reason, Ms. Victorino does not follow up. She actually pulls him out of this facility against doctor's orders. What the DCF records will demonstrate is that Ms. Victorino ultimately fails to protect and prevent further physical abuse of Mr. Victorino at the hands of his alcoholic and gambling father. Now, Ms. Victorino is not on trial here, but we believe her testimony will demonstrate that and highlight the important role that parental nurturing has on a young life. And at the conclusion of our presentation, we believe that her testimony will suggest that in retrospect, her choices ultimately add fuel to the fire of forces that set Mr. Victorino on a negative trajectory. In reality, we can look back and say that she tried her best, provided the love that she knew how to show, despite herself being the victim of domestic abuse. When Troy is about 11 years old, we believe that the totality of his life arc at that point will show that he was likely damaged beyond repair before his family relocated to Florida. Unfortunately, when they did relocate to the Deltona area, the abuse, the lack of treatment, the lack of nurture persisted. Mr. Victorino gets introduced to alcohol. It was almost inevitable at that point in Mr. Victorino's life that he would be sentenced to a lengthy adult prison sentence as a teenager. Troy Victorino got his GED in the Florida State prison system at the age of 15. Now let's stop right there for a moment. None of our presentation about Mr. Victorino's circumstances are intended to in any way portray him as a martyr, one deserving sympathy, or a justification for his actions. Rather, we hope to suggest to our presentation that Mr. Victorino was subjected to a combination of negative forces, many of which were outside of his control in his early childhood development. Members of the jury, we believe that the evidence that we will present to you on the arc and circumstances of Mr. Victorino's life will provide justification for a sentence of a hard life in prison as opposed to execution. To further demonstrate this point, we will present testimony from several mental health professionals, including Dr. Danzinger, a forensic psychiatrist, Dr. Campbell, a clinical psychologist and trauma expert, and Dr. Buffington, a toxicologist. And he will all of these individuals have interviewed Mr. Victorino, and they reviewed these decades-old records. And they will use their expertise in their respective fields and explain more about how Mr. Victorino, being an abused and institutionalized person, resulted in a human being that was extremely emotionally disturbed. And while that is not a defense, not an excuse, not a justification, his lack of treatment for his mental illness, which persisted since childhood, his exposure to physical and sexual abuse, leading to his own substance abuse, ultimately resulted in the human being Troy Victorino having the lack of capacity to conform to the norms of society. Troy Victorino has spent 32 of his 48 years in a Florida prison cell. I want to make it very clear that we readily acknowledge that the sentence that we seek you to impose provides a chance at life that Mr. Victorino took from his victims. However, a sentence of life in prison will protect the community in the same way as a death sentence. Troy Victorino is dead and will leave this earth while confined in prison. And what we hope to demonstrate through the presentation of our evidence is that a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole is a far more significant punishment and the more appropriate punishment in this case. For through that punishment, there's a realistic opportunity for Mr. Victorino not only to be punished, but to perhaps provide some positive impact on others throughout the tragic backstory that brings us here today. All the witnesses that we will present to you will demonstrate that the personality of the man whose brutality brings us here died 21 years ago. 21 years. Certainly, I need not remind you of the impact that the events that bring us here still has, that we've felt and that the community has felt. But Mr. Victorino has actually had a positive impact on people within the Florida Department of Corrections system for the last 21 years. You will hear from current Florida Department of Corrections inmate, whom Mr. Victorino has mentored, upon whom he's had a positive impact. And you'll hear that a huge part of the positive impact that Mr. Victorino has had upon these people comes from Mr. Victorino's acceptance of responsibility and extreme remorse for his senseless actions. The spiritual and personal maturation of Mr. Victorino will also be highlighted by a person by the name of Mr. Barker, whom over the last 2 decades has ministered to Mr. Victorino while he's been in prison. And he can also further attest and underscore the fact that the person who committed those crimes died long ago. You'll also hear from Raul Benasco. He's a former Florida warden of several different facilities in the Florida State prison system with almost 40 years of Department of Corrections experience and insight. And he will explain how life in prison without the possibility of parole is a sentence of punishment, but also purpose. That if you were to sentence Mr. Victorino to a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole, that he would be required to work 40 to 60 hours a week, paying his debt to society. Ultimately, what we believe with this evidence will suggest that life in prison is actually a harder and more effective punishment than the appropriate punishment in this case. We believe that the insight that we will provide you about a death sentence will show that those condemned will actually be catered to, will be coddled, and that there's a propensity when a person receives such a sentence to receive some sort of a macabre martyrdom or celebrity status. The evidence about Mr. Victorino's lengthy incarcerated records will show that he's behaved himself, that he poses no risk to the prison population, and certainly not the population at large, as he will never again live among us. What we hope that the evidence about the participation of Mr. Victorino in the prison system suggests is that a sentence of life in prison has the potential for Mr. Victorino to even make one impact on a person that would change a trajectory that would otherwise be identical to Troy Victorino's. Members of the jury, on behalf of Mr. Victorino, we sincerely have appreciated your attention to everything that's been presented thus far. And before I go, I cannot emphasize enough the importance that you take seriously the immense power and responsibility that your duties entail. Please keep an open mind while we present evidence to justify a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Thank you.
I'm checking to see if you can route.
Okay,
First
all
one,
right.
so.
Okay, then we'll give you a few moments to do that. All right, we'll go ahead then, Kyle. We'll have the jury step out for a few moments and.
Hopefully it'll be good for you.
Sure.
Uh-oh, everyone. Behave. Boss is here. Hello, brother. Welcome in. Robert is in the house.
Hey, baby, how you doing? I'm here. I'm here.
Hey. Where
Okay,
are you
I
coming
s-
from? Because I can hear you, but man, yeah. So
What's the matter? Am I loud? Oh, am I
no,
loud?
no, no,
I
no. I don't even know where you're coming from. I can hear your voice.
I don't either. It's okay. I'm
but
here though. I'm hidden, probably behind you. I don't know.
probably you are behind me, but I can't do anything because I have no commands. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you. It's been a long day and you were very helpful. I appreciate that. Hey,
For
everybody.
you,
Rubber's
do
back.
anything, girl. You know, for you, I do anything. You deserve it. So yes,
Aw.
and you've got some extra likes, and it's amazing. I'm so excited for you. Right, like you, have you got it? You
I've
set
got
up
it.
for you?
I've got it because he just finish with the what's time? You just finished with the opening
Yeah,
for the
I did send
yeah.
it in private
They
chat.
okay. Okay. Yeah, they're at the end of that. So 149.17. Yeah. And then they go to break. So
Yeah, then they go to break,
okay.
but you can do your part.
Okay.
You guys have
Yes.
an amazing night. Enjoy court, and I'll see you all during the weekend on Monday, whatever.
See
I'll
you
see you all.
Monday. Thank
Bye.
you for helping. Love you,
Of
girl.
course,
Bye.
anything.
Okay, okay. So we are going to just move right along, and mine's on the stage. And I know I missed this morning, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch. But hey, guys, yes, and Katya, go get some sleep, love. Get some sleep. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna the defense did their opening, and I think this was for Tyrone Victorino. And look at all that love for Katya. See there? Sleep well. Look at there. Oh, you have a good night, sweetie. Thank you. Thank you for all your help. So we're going to pick back up this. He did his opening. So now we're getting to get to Jerone's defendants. I'm here. Hi. No camera today right now. I'm not feeling camera today. So okay, no sound still, guys. I hate that when they don't turn the mic on as soon as the stream.
Absolutely nothing to be nervous about.
There we go.
Just take a deep breath and relax, and we will get started. We're just going to ask questions and have a conversation, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, great. Can you state your full name for the jury?
Alvin Eugene Barker.
Okay. And Mr. Barker, how old are you?
In 2 weeks, I'll be 88 years of age.
Fantastic. And just tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from Sumter County. I was raised in Sumter County after my mother moved us back from Alabama.
And tell us about your career.
Well, I spent 20 years in the military. I had various assignments. Most of mine was working for either 3 or 4 star admirals or generals I have multiple commands. Some places the Navy would be the lead.
Well, certainly.
Navy, and then in Panama, I had a 2-star general, and I've had another 4-star general in Norfolk. And I retired in 1974. My last duty station was Just Mag, Athens, Greece. I was going attaché duty there out of the embassy.
And after your retirement from military service, what was your profession?
Well, I was administrative, but I did different things. I've been a statistician. I've been legal clerk, postal clerk, just about anything they could throw at me. They didn't have anybody else to do it.
Sure. And how did you see Troy Victorino today when you came in?
I did.
I think we all want to know, how do you know Troy Victorino?
Well, I've been in prison ministry since 2005. I started at the work release of North Jacksonville for 2 years, and then
And then you expanded into other prisons, correct?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm just going to help you out with that. So, what year did you meet Troy Victorino?
In 2007.
Okay, and you said prison ministry. What is your religion?
Jehovah's Witness.
And what is Troy's religion?
Jehovah's Witness.
Now, did Troy Victorino convert to become a Jehovah's Witness, or was he raised?
He was raised that, but sadly he went a little wire when he was a teenager, which we have very many that do. But a lot of them, they out for a while and then they have a visit from a brother, because we were required once a year to go to the inactive people to check on their spirituality and see if they would like to come back. We also tell them that the way they have to come back and everything. So
you're talking about inmates that you check in on that become inactive?
No, that was both.
Or members of the church?
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Understood. And just briefly, to give a little bit of education, Jehovah's Witness is a branch of Christianity?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you have a Bible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But now with modern,
I only have about an hour left.
have everything on our cell phone or our tablet. So except when I go to the prison, I have to go old school.
So you have
Sorry
old
about
school,
that,
so you
guys.
have papers and you have books and the Watchtower magazine, I believe, is one of the print. Yes. When you met Troy in prison in 2007, what was your first thought when you saw him?
I said, "Oh my gosh, what have I got myself into?"
Right? And why was that?
Because of his size.
He's a big man, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And how often, since 2007 till I know very recently, how often would you see Troy?
Well, we put them on a rotation basis because we could only see 4 each week. So we have 5, and so one of them have to be out. But a lot of times we have one that's very sick, so we put him to the last of the rotation. And but every week if we could get rooms, but we have to, if the lawyers and the investigators, they get preference for the rooms.
Of course. So you attempted to see him once a week, it sounds like?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long would you spend with him?
1 hour.
So each person that you're ministering to and that you're working with, you get 1 hour with.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you met with him in the same area as the attorneys meet with their clients,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So this is like a booth with a table?
Yes, ma'am.
And
He sits on one side, I sit on the other.
Sure. So there's no separation physically, really.
No, ma'am. Other than the table.
During all of your visits with Mr. Victorino, have you ever felt uncomfortable around him?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever felt intimidated by his physical presence?
Amen.
Did you feel comfortable closing your eyes and praying with him?
Very much so.
And during your ministering, and this is going to be kind of in general because it's been so many years, right? You've known him for so long.
I've known him for 18 years.
Yes. What kinds of things would you all talk about?
Well, we would mostly have a prayer, and then we would discuss. When I first started studying with it, we studied out journals from our branch. The first book we studied was What the Bible Teach, and then we Bible Teach, and then we moved him into What Does the Bible Teach, and then the third book was Keep Yourself in God's Love. And then by that time, I'd been studying with him for a little over 2 years, and I was able to baptize him. Brother Crossley gave the baptismal talk, and I'm the one that actually baptized him.
That's fantastic. So you talk about, obviously, the truth, and you talk about the Bible and religion, but did you also get to know him on a personal level?
I sure did.
Did you get to know his mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you meet his brothers?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you talk with his mother regularly?
Not anymore, not since COVID. The branch won't let us communicate with the family and everything. And we can study with them in person, but we cannot send him emails, and he can't send us emails.
Certainly. I think you're talking about Mr. Victorino, right?
That's correct.
So it's in person, but his mother, do you communicate with her still?
Not anymore, not since COVID.
Okay, I see. And as far as your relationship
Can I
with him.
explain that now? Can I explain that former thing? Well, previously to COVID, I studied on just what we study with individuals if they want a Bible study in our community. But then the branch during COVID, they started 3 states with prison ministry. It's called a pilot program. And that was Florida, New York, and California. And last month they added 5 more states, which is Georgia, Texas, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. So we got 8 states down in the pilot program.
I see. So it seems like there are rules and regulations to what you do.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to follow those rules and regulations.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it. Now, when you would speak with Troy over these years, did he ever talk about the offense and what he did?
It came up, but we have to not talk about that.
Yeah, that's not something you're really supposed to talk about, right?
No, ma'am.
Same thing with like mental health issues. Are you supposed to talk about that with him?
No, ma'am. We're forbidden for that.
Okay, that's one of the rules and regulations, right?
Yeah, both his health and his mental thing. We keep talking about that.
But he did share with you at least something, issues that he had in his childhood with his father?
Yes, ma'am.
And how did he describe that to you?
And since he was the oldest child, he took the brunt of the discipline from his father, if you want to call it that.
And you made that qualification, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
From what he told you, what would you call it?
Same as I got from my father, my stepfather, excuse me. And that was a beating once in a while.
Okay, so your understanding is he was beaten by his father.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And but when it came to things like that, did he really go into much detail with you about those
No, ma'am.
things? Okay. Over the years that you've known him, have you seen a change in Troy Victorino?
Very much so, ma'am.
Can you tell the jury about that change that you've seen?
Well, he's mellow about. He has had issues like the rest of us from time to time. He would, Well, a little bit of anger because what's going on in the world, and you could understand it. Being in the prison environment, I've had that issue myself. I'm still working on mine, and I have to remind myself daily.
But when you say the word anger, I want to make it clear, you don't mean like violent outburst anger.
No, ma'am.
You mean frustration.
Frustration.
And he'd share that with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you seen him mature?
Very much so.
I think that you've described him before as being mild, much milder now.
Yes, ma'am. For that bigger guy he is.
Have you seen him show love?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you seen him show compassion?
Yes, ma'am. He's actually, he has studied with other individuals, and I've studied with them. That's the only way that we cannot proselyte in prison. If one guy studies with another guy, he can tell him to put in a written request through the chapel to change his affiliation. And the only one that we can go and talk to, if they come into the prison system, just like in the military, if they have their religious affiliation as Jehovah's Witnesses, those are the ones that we can go talk to.
I see. So he's actually expanded the group that you speak with.
Yes, ma'am.
Does Troy Victorino write sermons? Does he write sermons?
I have used him not for sermons, no, ma'am. At our congregation meetings, we have like the midweek meeting. The first two parts is handled by either elders or ministerial servants, and because they're cut off from the congregation, we have them to use those two. The first and second part on the service meetings. The second part is spiritual gems, and the other one is in-depth study of that. And we also have them to have their answers to the watchtower. Also through the week, they write out what they liked about in the spiritual gems. And when we come in, Bart, Wright, and myself, listen to them as they present that part as if they would in the congregation.
Exactly. So he's done that before, provided that information that you presented, as if he were in the congregation with you.
Pardon?
As if you were in the congregation, I think you said.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And has Troy Victorino shown compassion to you when your wife was ill?
Oh, yes.
Tell me how he did that.
Well, he wrote cards. He was, when he's there, he does paint pictures, and most of them are, all that I've seen is either flowers or nature of the birds and the different animals.
And he provided, did he send those to you?
Say again?
And he sent paintings to you and your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
And may I approach, Your Honor? I wanted to show. Mr. Barker, these are, you provided to me this morning as from your collection. This is not everything he's ever sent for you.
No, ma'am.
Is this an item that was sent for your wife?
Yes, this was when she was her last 18 days in the hospital before she passed away. The second bout of cancer and everything. We didn't know that she was going to pass away because the doctors were doing everything they could, but she wanted to die at home. She didn't want to go in the hospice. So they brought her home at 3:30 on Thursday afternoon. Around 3 o'clock Friday morning, I woke up. She was still alive. When I woke up at 7 o'clock, she was dead.
And this was sent by Troy Victorino?
Yeah, and there's flowers and the birds.
Is this another painting that was provided for your family?
Yes, ma'am. And this, again, this is flowers and a butterfly here. So that was what he was into.
You've provided me several cards, and I'm not going to have you read them, but they were created for you, for members of the congregation.
Yes, ma'am.
By Troy Victorino.
Yes, ma'am.
And he signed a couple of them as well.
He signed them, and then we had other individuals that we were studying with at the time There's 3 other ones.
And this would be just encouragement or birthdays or what kind of stuff do
No,
you write cards for?
It was when they were sick or something, or on my wife's and I's anniversary. He would say that, but we don't celebrate Christmas or birthdays.
Yes, I understand. That's part of your religion as well,
Yes, ma'am.
correct? Yes. And did he do this because you asked him to do these things for you?
No, ma'am.
Did he do this because he cares about you?
He cares about being my wife, my daughter.
I'm not gonna pass them around. I just want to display a little bit, Judge, so they can see a little bit better. I'm gonna walk down these first. You're gonna take these back with you. Mr. Barker, is there somebody who's going to be taken over for you soon in your ministry, you think?
Beg your pardon?
You think you're going to retire from the ministry soon, or are you going to do this until your last breath?
Probably till my last breath. I'll be 88 May the 15th.
Is there somebody else who's going to be coming up behind you?
I've got one. I'm in training him. He's 14 years younger, so he should be able to last a little bit.
Yes, of course. And you want to continue to minister to Mr. Victorino?
As long as possible.
You want to continue to support him and receive his support?
Yes, ma'am.
Just one moment. Thank you so much, Mr. Barker. Any questions? All right, thank you. Mr. Wood, any questions?
No.
Thank you. Sir, thank you very much for your
All right.
time.
Thank you.
He is released if you would like to remain with us.
He's welcome to.
Thank you.
So the lawyers have all done a very good job of getting their witnesses to us. And so it looks like we're going to have a nice long lunch today. So I'll be able to let you guys go right now for lunch, and I don't need you back until 1:15. So that gives you a nice long lunch today. So please don't discuss the case amongst yourselves or with anyone else. Please, no independent research. We'll see you back here at 1:15. Thank you.
So the day was shortened, and lunch was a long lunch. And after I got to looking at it, we're still traveling way down here. Okay.
That's
Okay, so they come back in and they're having a discussion.
too much about where they are to the jury. That's my concern.
I think we need to address, I need to understand everybody's concerns going into this.
Okay.
Let me back it up just a little bit because I wonder what her concerns are, what she's talking about. Okay, here we go.
I don't know if they have further argument they want to provide.
Anything else? I
Our
mean,
position, just the setting where this interaction happened also goes to bias, it goes to motive, why they might be testifying for Mr. Victorino. From the state's perspective, especially one of the witnesses, they went to the law library together, or not together, but Mr. Victorino counseled him in the law. They talked for hours about the law. He went from being in HO5, highest level, to now he's in HO3, which is the less restrictive level. So the state's position is that it does go to bias and motive and gives background about the setting where they're being
but you'll be able to cross and ask about that. So, yeah, anything else you can think of? I'm just going to follow the rule as written. Now, my only concern is that and again, this is kind of like something the other day. I don't necessarily know how much this is helpful. But this is part of the defense's strategy. And so that's their call, but I don't think that it necessarily.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna allow the defense to do it, but do I have any other legal argument state as to why I shouldn't? I'm concerned that they're gonna say too much about where they are to the jury. That's my concern.
I think we need to address, I need to understand everybody's concerns going into this.
Okay.
Because from what I just heard, you believe that me putting on an inmate is not mitigation. I don't.
No, I'm
That's
not.
what I just
No,
heard.
okay, so you're right. So what I'm saying is it could be perceived either way. I mean,
Okay.
it could be, and that's up to the jury to decide.
Oh.
And that's what I'm just saying they could look at it either way.
Okay.
So, but that's what mitigation is about. Some people might think that it's a good thing and some people might not, but that's your team's call. My concern is, you say he's I guess he's going to be in a room, so there won't be any discussion about what.
He's in prison.
Right.
You're a convicted felon.
Yes.
This is your number.
Yes.
That's how this begins.
Okay.
But they were housed with Mr. Victorino. Now they are housed in a less restricted. They have a unique perspective. This has been done before in other circuits as well, especially in these first resentencings, when you have people who have been in prison with one another for decades. They create relationships. They are able to view and see. They give a different perspective than a prison expert on what it's actually like in that restrictive housing unit. So that's where I am with this. And so, yes, they are no longer there. I can't use somebody who's still there as a witness.
Right.
Obviously.
So I guess, is there a concern that I just don't want the discussions to go into where Mr. Victorino actually is housed? I don't know.
They're not,
We're all not saying death row. We're all
Okay.
being careful not to say death row.
They're going to
Are
say,
they going to be careful?
Yes.
that's why I spoke with Mr. Bagan. We're waiting for Mr. McGrath to come in.
Okay.
He won't be allowed until count's over.
Okay, so that's what the court's concern is. If y'all have alleviated that concern,
Yes.
then
But I think that it is relevant that they are no longer in that most restrictive because they have a perspective of adjustment. And I am going to get into that because I think that that's something the jury should know about. It's an educational thing for them to understand what we're talking about here.
So do y'all want a few minutes to do some research to see if there's anything on this?
I don't think there is, Judge. Our position was just, this is different than the usual situation where a witness is testifying and it's their credibility. There's danger that the probative and the prejudicial value. We don't have that here because these guys are in prison. They're in prison with Victorino. They know Victorino's found guilty of 6 murders. So we just felt you don't have the same danger you have generally. So we felt it was relevant here in this situation because the reality is they're all on death row together and they're all sentenced to death. They're bonding over that. And then Victorino is advising all of them, hey, and I understand why, a new case comes out, you're trying to get off death row, you're trying to overturn your sentence, but that's the context of these relationships. So we felt that the nature of his charge, we were only going to say, you are and you're convicted of murder. That was it. It's not like we were going to get into the facts. That was the limit of our.
In the other circuits where this has been done, have they asked that question?
No, they were impeached, and this happened recently in Jacksonville. They were impeached with their felony convictions. That's all that was allowed. I don't know what the legal argument was that was done over it. I have no idea. But once again, this is kind of a novel area in these first resentencings because so many people, because as obvious, we can't use, a defense team cannot, because they're represented by like 10 attorneys, people who are still on death row, are in a process of the system. The people who are sentenced to life, it's done. So they are more eligible to discuss and be more free about it. They have nothing to gain by this. They're not going to be given a lighter sentence. They're not going to be given any sort of favorability by anybody.
Well, then let me ask you this. Then then, they've got their sentence. They have nothing to lose. I mean, I mean, if you're helping someone who's been convicted of murder as opposed to somebody who's been convicted of an ag battery, I don't think that affects Mr. Victorino in a negative way.
I'm not certain why the rules should apply differently to them just because of their convictions and what they are and where their housing was.
But as I'm thinking through this, because there's no case law on point, I don't know that, I don't see how it would be prejudicial to Mr. Victorino that he's allegedly helping somebody who's convicted of murder as opposed to somebody who's convicted of an ag battery.
I don't think it's about prejudicial. I think that the rule is very clear that it's not relevant what their underlying charges were. I don't believe that it's relevant. I don't think that the rule should apply any differently to them just because they are convicted murderers. That's basically what this would be doing. I don't see how it's any different. The jury is going to make their inferences as they make them.
And of course, I don't have my Earhart here. It is in Flagler.
I have mine, Judge.
Thank you very much. This is interesting reading. I mean, just reading the plain language. A party may attack the credibility of any witness, including an accused, by evidence that the witness has been convicted of a crime if the crime was punishable by death or imprisonment in excess of 1 year under the law under which the witness was convicted, or if the crime involved dishonesty or a false statement, regardless of the punishment.
Okay, it's too silent. I don't like it.
And so I'm just thinking procedurally, the judgments don't come in unless the witness either says they don't know or they get the wrong number. Am I correct procedurally?
Yes, Your Honor, they are well prepared on the number.
Furthermore, there's a lot of case law that talks about if a person that is eliciting the information from a convict wants to get ahead of and explain the nature of that conviction, that is okay. So I think we're in the situation where if we give some leniency to the rule, then we're going to go down this rabbit hole of then explaining all of the circumstances behind the conviction. I mean, there's case law that clearly says it's error unless one of those situations occur to allow information about the substance of the conviction.
When I'm reading, this is from Earhart, section 61, section 610.5. Section 90.610 does not specifically provide any flexibility to the trial judge in admitting convictions to impeach. So with that said, unless I have some case law indicating that we can ask, I'm going to go ahead and follow the statute.
We understand, Jen.
Thank you. And thank you for lending me your Earhart.
Of course.
Did you want to talk to, we're waiting to get the second gentleman on because you wanted to talk to him, or should we take care of this gentleman while we've got him?
So we've got the waiting room on, Judge, so I think if we do the first gentleman, hopefully while we're doing that, the second one can pop in, and maybe just take a 5-minute break in between the two.
Sounds like a good idea. All right, let's get started. Everyone ready? Yes.
Call the jury. All right, let's move it.
Yeah, they're not the same person.
Oh, cameraman and your Zoom problem. This man needs a camera lesson. He's still fired after this trial. I've decided this is his last trial. He can't work anymore after this.
Corporate audio is on, but the Zoom is.
By your. Mr. Pagan, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. You're going to be sworn in.
Sir, can you please raise your right hand to be sworn in? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Pagan, can you state your full name?
Alex Pagan.
Can you spell your last name?
Pagan.
And Mr. Pagan, what is your date of birth?
3/25/69.
How old are you?
56.
Mr. Pagan, you're currently in prison, correct?
Yes, I am.
How many prior felony convictions do you have?
9.
Okay, thank you. How do you know Troy Victorino?
We were housed in the same unit for a number of years.
When we say a number of years, when are we talking?
I don't know the exact date. I left that unit in 2023. And he was there for a few years. I was there since 98, so over 5 years. I just don't know the exact amount of years.
Certainly. So when you were housed in the same unit as each other, you're in a very restrictive environment, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're housed by yourself, so it's not like you were roommates or anything.
Right, exactly.
Okay. And so you're older than Mr. Victorino? You were there before him?
Yes, yes.
Tell me, can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with Mr. Victorino?
Sure. By the time I left the unit in 2023, I considered him to be one of my closest friends, at which point we had a friendship that spanned over 5 years. I didn't meet him exactly when he got to the unit, maybe a year or two afterwards, and we would say hi to each other when we would see each other, and that just blossomed into an organic friendship.
Absolutely. And do you guys kind of have similar backgrounds where you're from?
Yes.
In what way?
We were both raised in New York.
Okay. Yeah, I hear your accent is still pretty prevalent. So you said it blossomed into an organic friendship. Does that mean that you talk about your cases with one another?
No, I make it a strict policy not to speak about cases. Unless we're talking case law, we don't speak cases.
And when we say case law, you mean like law library information?
Yes, ma'am.
Meaning like, cases that you're reviewing for legal issues?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, in the time that you guys had an organic friendship, would you confide in Troy?
Sure.
About what?
Anything that was on my mind that didn't have to do with the case, anything that was bothering me that I needed someone else's opinion with, anything you talk with a friend about.
Okay. Did he do the same with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you his only friend or did he have other friends?
No, he had plenty of friends.
Okay. Did you see the same kind of interactions with his other friends on the unit?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Now, you're in a very restrictive environment where you met Mr. Victorino, but are you allowed to be physically in the same area as one another?
During yard time, yes, ma'am.
Sure. And yard time, how often and how long were those sessions?
Twice a week, 3 hours each time.
Okay. So you were physically able to be around one another?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about your observations of Troy over the years that you've known him. Have you ever seen him lose his cool?
No, ma'am.
Do y'all gossip a little bit on your unit?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Very similar to any other kind of like environment where everybody's being housed together?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever hear anything about Mr. Victorino?
Sure.
Did you
But
ever
nothing negative.
Okay, nothing negative about him in any way?
No.
Would he confide in you about stress and things with his family and things like that?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Did you see how he interacted with staff there?
Yes.
When I say staff, I mean the lieutenants, the corrections officers that are around you all at all times.
Well, our interactions, because we weren't housed on the same floor, would be with the guards that took us to and from yard.
Okay. So, but you saw that, and did you ever see any sort of negative interaction with them?
No, ma'am.
Did Mr. Victorino appear to be following all the rules?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you ever see him receive what's called a disciplinary report when you were there?
No, ma'am.
When you were housed during this period of time with Mr. Victorino, were you staying out of trouble pretty well?
Yes, ma'am.
You had some disciplinary reports, correct, in your past?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And I think you had one more recently as well?
July of last year, yes.
Since then, nothing?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And that disciplinary report that you had recently, was that related to disobeying an order?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were you the only one who received that disciplinary report in your unit?
No, ma'am.
Who else did?
Approximately 60 of us.
Okay. Did you have any sort of punishment or confinement as a result of that?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh, well, yes, a punishment, yes, confinement, no.
Okay. The punishment was like loss of privileges for a period of time?
Loss of canteen privileges for 30 days.
Okay. You're in a different type of housing unit now, but the one that you were in with Mr. Victorino, you guys were watched a lot, correct? It was pretty close custody?
Yes, ma'am. Every half hour, there would be staff walking by.
Does that mean that people don't get in trouble?
No, ma'am.
Did people get in
plenty of
trouble?
trouble. In fact, the unit itself has its own confinement area.
Okay, so there's almost like a prison within the prison for those who misbehave.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Did you personally see people fighting with one another?
Yes, ma'am.
You were there since 1999, correct?
1998.
Okay. So you saw people fighting, people were able to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Saw drugs coming in?
Seen drugs coming in? No. Knew that there was drugs in the prison? Yes.
Okay, because you stayed away from that?
Yes, ma'am.
Did Troy Victorino ever get involved in any sort of drugs that you know of?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So you can still break rules even though you're being watched?
Absolutely.
And you chose not to, at least
Absolutely.
with any of those things that I've mentioned?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Victorino is a pretty big dude, right? I think that's
Yes,
what you
he
described
is.
him to me the first time.
Yeah.
Does he ever use his size to intimidate other people?
I've never seen him act anything but cordial to anyone.
Okay. And the unit that you're in now, how long have you been in the less restrictive unit that you're in now?
in this particular dorm since November, early November.
So it's, you're not housed individually, correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You have like 70 roommates, 75 roommates in an open bay?
There's 76 beds. Right now, there's 71 occupants.
So at this point, would you agree, how have you been with your transition?
Well, it's going from being isolated and being the only person in the cell to sharing an area with another 75 individuals. So it's not easy. You have 75 different personalities to deal with. You have all the noise, but it's not impossible to deal with. You deal with the stress, you avoid trouble. It's the best time is easy time. And as long as you stay away from trouble, it's easy time.
Do you use the skills that you feel like you learned for a long time to help ease that?
Of course.
Okay. Do you believe Troy Victorino has those same skills?
Yes, I do.
And as far as hold on a second, let me think. I'm trying to think about how to word this. Sorry, I forgot the next question I was going to have after that. Just give me 1 second. And Alex, how big are you? Just curious, because we can't tell because you're on a screen.
Right now, I'm 5'10", about 185 pounds.
Okay. Let me just make sure I don't have anything further real quick. Is the unit that you're in currently, do you have to deal with violent actions of other inmates? Not you personally, but have you seen it?
Not violence, but a lot of arguing. It's a elderly dorm.
Okay. Because of your age, that's why you're assigned there?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. I'm going to tender the witness that the state attorney is going to be coming up here and asking you some questions. Okay, Mr. Burgon?
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Did you say that was 9 felony convictions?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were on a very restrictive unit there at the prison, right?
Yes.
And that's where you met Troy Victorino, correct?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And that's where the two of you bonded?
Yes, ma'am.
The two of you would play cards?
Anything we can do on the rec yard, exercise, play cards, play ball.
Talk case law?
Yes.
You saw Troy Victorino helping other inmates on the same restrictive unit with their criminal cases too, right?
Well, with many different things, not just criminal cases, yes.
Inmates like Ronaldo McGurth?
Yes.
He's your buddy too, right?
Yes, ma'am.
The unit that you're on now, it's less restrictive, and that's the unit you prefer to be on, right? Instead of the more restrictive unit?
Absolutely.
And this less restrictive unit, that's the unit you were on when you got this most recent DR, correct?
No, ma'am. I was in a different dorm.
Well, you weren't in the most restrictive unit like you were, right? You left that unit. You left that unit in 23.
Right.
No further questions, Judge.
No redirect.
All right, thank you.
I don't know if
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I'm going to observe.
Nothing.
Yes, he is done, but we definitely need a recess. I'll fit for.
All right, so we're going to take a recess, and we're going to shoot for 10 minutes. We just want to make sure we have our next witness up on Zoom. So
Okay.
sometimes
So they're
things
lining up their
need
next
to happen.
witness. So we're going to cut to a break while they get him in on the telephone. So we'll zoom till they get him on the phone. Okay, here we go. It's the last one. We're gonna get him on the phone, and this is it.
Please be seated.
I know, right?
The next witness we're going to call is Ronaldo McGirth, and he is present on phone connection.
Mr. McGirth, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you raise your right hand and be sworn in?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And Mr. McGirth, because you're on the phone, just please wait until I finish questions and then answer as clearly as you possibly can. And if anybody has a problem, please wave, please, because this is going to be a little different. Mr. McGirth, what is your date of birth?
April 29th, 1988.
How old are you?
37.
And you're currently in prison, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you been convicted of a felony before?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
4.
Okay. Now, Mr. McGirth, how do you know Troy Victorino?
I was previously in the same prison with him, special confinement housing.
Okay. And how long were you in the same prison with Mr. Victorino?
From June 14th, 2011 until last year, 2024, July 2024.
Okay. So did you have interaction with him for that entire, math, 13-year period almost?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you have interaction with him in person?
Yes, ma'am.
When you first met him, how old were you?
She is 37 now, so 14. I was approximately 23, 24 years old.
Okay, so you were younger than him, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, when you first met Mr. Victorino, can you kind of describe what your first meeting?
I think the first reaction is everybody have is he's a giant, but you get over it quickly once you get to talking to him. My first meeting was as soon as I got to this special confinement housing. I met him and we was on the rec yard, and I was talking to another guy that I had already known, and we was talking about the law library because I had been over there and I wasn't able to get there. And Troy, he spoke up and he was like, "Oh, so you haven't been able to get down there?" And he explained the process to me, and he told me if I get a request that he would get it to the sergeant, the admin sergeant who was over the law library at the time. And I actually got the request where he had went down before I went down, and he let them know. And when that sergeant came around with the trustees to do library books and case law delivery, they stopped at the cell I was in, and they got my request and told me that I would be on the list. And that Troy Victorino had told him that I wanted to come to the law library.
So you were brand new to that unit, and he showed you kindness and tried to help you?
Yes, ma'am.
So did your friendship grow from there?
Yes, ma'am.
Kind of describe how your friendship grew and what you all would do together and talk about?
Well, first, I think for the first couple of months, it was when we go to rec, or if I was in the law library on the call out at the same time as him, we all hang around, we talk, but I played basketball, so a lot of times he was working out. on the dip bar that's at the end of the basketball courts. And so, he'd be making comments and joking throughout the game. And we just be.
So severe weather at this time, though certainly some heavy rain and some noisy ripples of thunder. I think though the severe weather threat will pick back up again as these storms get back south of the Interstate 10 into Houston and Harris County. So for now, the most intense storms that we have in this region out to the west here between Columbus and Louisville. Potentially severe hailstorms right along the Interstate 10 corridor, so it's a rough go for those that are traveling between Houston and San Antonio. And then we have this area of stormy weather with a common cluster from Montgomery diving down towards 105 and eventually makes up Cleveland. That one had a strong thunderstorm alert, which has since been allowed to expire, but there could be a little bit of small hail in there. And notice the radar colors are changing back towards the reds, indicating the heavier rain. The storms earlier were nearly stationary along the Montgomery, Walker County line, so we have a flood advisory here until 7 o'clock in the evening, and another flood advisory until 7 p.m. that sits over College Station from the storms that came through earlier. Things beginning to calm down a bit in Aggieland, and then we have this area of employee concern in Colorado County, which doesn't include Weimar and Columbus until 6:30 p.m. Note though the heavy storms have moved off to your west. We may get one more round to come through Colorado County as well. Now here's a look at radar estimated rainfall totals over the last 6 hours, and notice in Houston it hasn't been a whole.
Without even talking to him, people are going to be intimidated or see him as a threat, so he might crack a joke or, just start talking to you, introduce himself. And then other than that, he's going to do what he can to help you. You know what I mean? Because it's a messed up environment. So if he see you struggling with something or something that you don't know, or as I would like to say, he seen some of the guys we were there with, they'll be about to crash and, take the wrong actions and stuff. And he'll kind of like help talk them off the edge and help them show them the different route than the old route that we was all used to.
So he tried to help other people stay kind of within the rules of the institution.
Yes, ma'am.
And when he saw people struggling, he tried to help them through that.
Yes, ma'am.
And did he intervene on behalf when inmates were going to fight or anything like that? Did he try to stop them from doing that?
Yes, ma'am.
You saw him do that?
Yes, ma'am. Several times.
Mm-hmm. Did he try to tell everybody to follow the rules?
Yes, ma'am.
When he was upset about something that may happen in the prison system, how would he handle it?
You're breaking up. Yeah, repeat that for me, please.
So sorry. I said when he was upset about anything that may have happened in the prison system, how did he handle that?
Oh, the same way he would tell us to do it. He was like, instead of doing the stupid, cuss word essays that we once would do it, that we thinking we should do, he say it's a better way to do it. Pick up the pen. He say it's a reason why they got the procedures for writing grievances, or just wait till the admin sergeant comes in and asks to speak with him and have a conversation. If it's a sergeant on that shift that's willing to come down and speak with you, then he'll tell you to do that. And if you not satisfied with the answer that you get from the sergeant or those results, then like I said, he'll encourage you to write the grievance. And I've seen him even tell God, okay, what do you want to say in this grievance? And when they say it, he'll get it, read it, and like, okay, man, I'm going to help you with this because, this need to be proper. This need to be formatted like this because the majority of guys, they don't know the grievance procedure. They don't know how to grieve in the institution, let alone grieve it all the way to Tallahassee, to
certainly,
get results.
And you said, did he have a good relationship with his sergeants where he was able to tell them if there was an issue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And they would listen to him and to you?
Yes, ma'am.
You guys were in a pretty restricted housing unit. Do people still get in trouble?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there still fights that occur?
Fights, drugs, all of that.
Drugs, everything. Were you ever into that kind of thing?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever see Troy into that kind of thing?
No, ma'am.
Did he try to counsel people to not be a part of any sort of drug activity in the unit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you remember if there was ever an incident where you saw him show restraint when he was maybe had been physically harmed?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe that?
We had a new sergeant and come work on in our special confinement housing, and he came in. He had an attitude and already a certain preconceived notion about how it would be over there working with us. And when he came with for shower time, and he wanted to run showers a certain rate. And when we tried to tell him that, hey, Sarge, it goes like this, he didn't want to hear it from us. Basically told us to shut up. So when he got to Troy's door, he had regular size handcuffs. And Troy, myself, as well as the young officer that was working with him, was trying to tell him that those handcuffs don't work for Troy. His wrists are huge. But he wasn't trying to hear it. He told Troy to back up to the door and cuff up or get sprayed. And when Troy put his hands out the flap, he tried to slam the cuffs on, and they didn't lock. They stopped, but they nipped his wrist. They cut him.
They cut him?
And, yes, ma'am. And you heard the reaction from Troy with the, like when you get stung by something, and then you see the reaction on the face of the officer there. So they went off the wing, and they called the nurse. The door operator had actually rolled Troy's door before they actually secured him and whatever, but he didn't come out. And I thought like, if it would have been me, I thought it would have reacted totally different.
You would have been really upset, right?
He shut the door back and he waited on the nurses to come. And he talked to the white shirt. And the next day, when the admin sarge came on, he came down right away, spoke with him, asked us what we saw, and that guy was put on a list to never come work over there again.
Sure. So Troy did not get angry. He did not react in an angry or violent manner in any way.
No, I can tell he was upset, but he didn't get angry and go off or nothing like that. He just, he was talking to the young officer, because the young officer had worked over there a few times, and he just was like, why that, this didn't even have to occur if, the sergeant would have just listened to him. And the young officer told him, man, listen, you did everything the right way, man. I seen it. Don't worry. When the white shirt come, I'm going to let him know what I witnessed, and that he was going out there to call the nurse to come see about the cuts that was on Troy's wrist from the cuffs.
Sure. And Ronaldo, when you say white shirt, you mean, is that like a sergeant or somebody who's like higher up?
No, it's higher than the sergeant. So okay. Regular officers, then you have sergeants, and the white shirt is from the lieutenant all the way up to colonel.
Okay. Now, obviously you have a friendship with Troy, and you've never done anything like this before, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You are now in a little bit of a less restrictive unit, but you're still close custody?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have to work?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you get paid to work?
No, ma'am.
Do you work hard?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have to do whatever they tell you to do as a job?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you able to help people while you're there in your new unit?
Yes, ma'am.
Just give me 1 minute.
Yes, ma'am.
And Ronaldo, you haven't had any DRs since you've been out of that unit, correct?
No, ma'am.
So your transition, you've been doing the best you can? You doing okay job?
Yes, ma'am. I would say so. I mean.
Okay. But it's still been difficult, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. Urbanic?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, you were in the same security level, the highest security level there in the Florida State Prison for a period of time with Mr. Victorino, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
It's fine. And you also know Alex Pagan, right?
Yes, sir, but I wasn't at Florida State Prison with them. Correction, I wasn't at Florida State Prison with them.
Okay. And where you were with Mr. Victorino, the highest security level, it's pretty restricted, right?
Yes, sir.
Not a lot of freedom of movement?
Say that again, sir?
There's not a lot of freedom of movement?
No, sir.
Not as much freedom as you have now, right?
Yes, sir.
There were fewer programs that you could engage in and that were offered to inmates?
Correct.
More solitude in the old area?
Say that again, sir?
You were alone more often in the high-level security area?
If you mean housing-wise, you are housed alone, but you're still able to communicate.
Yes, housed alone. You had your own cell, right?
Yes, sir.
There was more regular shifts done by guards, right?
More regular shifts done by guards?
Yeah, like walking by every 30 minutes, walking by the cells.
No, sir, it's the same.
It's the same where you are now.
Yes, sir.
One of the things to do in the high-level security area was to go to the law library, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's what Mr. Victorino helped you with?
Yes, sir, amongst other things.
Amongst other things. He got you on the list, right?
Yes, sir.
And you guys would, in fact, talk about case law after you got into the law library, right?
Yes, sir.
You talk about case law pretty regularly, right?
Somewhat.
So he helped you out getting into the law library and then your conversations about case law, correct?
Yes.
And then you're helping him out today by testifying for him, right?
Yes, sir.
And you said the two of you would keep yourselves out of, I think the word you use in your deposition is out of foolishness.
Yes, sir.
So you two knew how to behave in the unit?
We knew how to behave?
Yeah, you knew how to behave to stay out of trouble.
Yes, sir. Everybody's given a chance to learn the rules and regulations. They tell them to you when you get there, and you get a booklet. And then you decide, are you going to abide by these rules, or are you going to be on the foolishness?
And you and Mr. Victorino together made sure that you guys weren't on the foolishness.
Together? No, I would have to say he decided that before me because he was there before me.
Well, he was so good at staying out of trouble that he counseled you to stay out of trouble, right? How to go about it.
Yeah, he helped me do better, become a better man, yes.
And the people in the highest level of security, where you are with Mr. Victorino, people want to go down to the area where you are now, right?
Say that again?
People want to go down to the lower level of security, correct?
You have some who do, and you have many who don't.
Well, you wanted it, right?
No, sir, I wanted to go home.
Well, understandably, but between being in the highest level security and where you are now, you wanted to go to where you are now, right?
Yes, sir.
You have more opportunities?
Yes, sir.
In terms of classes, programs, things like that, right?
Yes, sir.
You have that increased level of freedom, right?
Increased level of freedom?
Yeah, a little more in terms of walking around and being able to move around.
Yeah, you can walk around and move around in your assigned areas.
And it provides you a more meaningful and enjoyable life, right?
More meaningful and joyful life?
A more meaningful and enjoyable life than where you were before in the highest level of security.
To some extent.
May I have one moment, Judge?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. I have no other questions.
All right. No other questions of this gentleman? All right, Mr. Wood, no questions? All right, thank you. Sir, thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you.
All right, and does that conclude our witnesses for today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so it looks like we're going to be able to get out a little bit early today. So we're going to get started again Monday morning at 8:30. But like I always say, please don't do any independent research. Stay away from any media, anything online. Don't discuss the case with anyone, and I'll see you bright and early Monday morning. Yes, sir, Chair number 10.
Do you have any idea of how much more time? Will it go more than one more week?
No, sir, it does not appear to. Okay.
An MRI a week and a half.
Okay, no, sir. Thank you. Thank you all. Have a nice weekend.
Okay, guys, I guess that's it for the end of the day. So yes, subscribe to Robert's channel. And thank you all for being here. It's today has just zoomed by. I'm sorry I wasn't here earlier. It's Friday. I don't normally do Fridays. Y'all know I do midnights, and you know, this is not my normal thing, but I felt this was a very important trial to bring attention to, as it is addressing Florida law changes, which is an issue right now. So anyways, I'll be back with y'all Monday at 5 o'clock, same time, and we'll continue the trial then. Until then, peace. Rubber out, guys. Y'all have a great night. Enjoy the rest of y'all's weekend, and we'll see y'all Monday. Bye, guys.
Life's a ride on a rickety old track.